Alright, trying to do a little review of trigonometry. So this first little exercise here is very important to understand. So again, the unit circle, 0, 0, and the radius is 1. So what is this? 0 degrees is 1, 0. And we might as well get the easy ones, like 90 degrees. That's going to be 0, up 1. 180 is going to be back 1, up 0. And 270 is going to be 0, negative 1. All right, what about these three? See if you can memorize these three. You're in good shape. Now, I want to go out a long ways and only up a little bit. Out a long ways. Now, hopefully you're getting the hang of this radical 3 over 2. Like, what is that? Radical 3 over 2. I'm going to use my calculator for that. So what is the square root of 3? Get out of there. Divided by 2. It's this number. 0.866. You're going to see that number a lot. 0.866. Radical 2 over 2. If you put that in your calculator, you're going to get like a 707 something something something. These are irrational numbers. And then the other number that you're going to see all the time is a half, which is obviously 0.5. You don't need your calculator for that. Now look, I got to go out a long ways. I'm looking for this big number. So I got to go out radical 3 over 2. And I only got to go up a little bit, a half. 45 is easy to remember because it's out and up the same amount. It's radical 2 over 2, radical 2 over 2. And 60, well, it's a lot like 30. Over a little bit, up a lot. So over a little bit, a half, up a lot. Radical 3 over 2. Now you notice, I don't want to say I don't care about these other ones, but we're going to see these other ones. You know, this is 120, this is 135, this is 150. They're all related to this one. When you get into the second quadrant, how do you get to the second quadrant? You got to go back and up. So the first coordinate's negative, the second coordinate's positive. To get into the third quadrant, they're both negative. To get into the fourth quadrant, you got to go to the right and then go down. And so what do you really got to know? Most important thing in trig is knowing that cosine of an angle is x, and sine of an angle is y. If you know this basic information, you'll do well. And here we go. Number 1, which quadrant would I lie if I have 860 degrees? 860 degrees. I'm going to use my calculator to speed this up. 860. I know I can add and subtract 360. So if I subtract 360, I got a 500 degree angle. I think I'll subtract 360 again, make sure I understand this. 140 degrees. Where does that land me? Somewhere in quadrant 2. Quadrant 2. Easy question. So this is basically the same as 140 degrees. They terminate in the same place. I don't want to say they're equal, but they terminate in the same place. All right, what's the reference angle? Which one would have a reference angle of 30 degrees? Now, back to this circle. Obviously 30 degrees has a 30 degree reference angle, but what other ones do? This one right across the way, which is 30 degrees from 180, that would be 150. That would have the same reference angle. Down here, 30 degrees away from 180 again, that'd be 210. And if I want to be 30 degrees from 360, take away 30, that would be 330. Those are all related to each other. Which one does not have that reference angle? Negative 30 does. 120 was not one of the ones I just did. Negative 330, that would put you in the same as 30. And 210 was one of the angles I indicated. So far, okay. That one is not the same reference angle. That would have a 60 degree reference angle. All right, moving on. I'm going to keep coming back and showing you this. All right, we have 4 radians. Where would I be? 4 radians. How do you switch from radians to degrees? Well, I know that 180 degrees is equal to pi radians. Now, I can cancel the radians. There's no pi to cancel. This is not 4 pi, it's just 4. So I need my calculator. This is a definite calculator question. What is 4 times 180? And then I have to divide by pi. That gives me like about 229. And that would land me into quadrant 3. Which of the following is the equation of circles centered at the origin, radius of 1 unit? All right, this is one of the key things you got to know. Just got to know it. that's a circle. I mean, that's a parabola, that's a line, that's another line. I mean, if it has x squared or y squared, it's a circle. So there's our unit circle with a radius of 1. All right, written in exact form, what is the cosine of 210? So make sure, check your mode. Pretty much always want to be in degree mode. We'll talk about once in a while you want to go to radians. But if you're in degree mode on your calculator, and this is super simple, I'm just going to type in, hey, cosine 210. Oh, there's that 866 again. Remember I said you just memorize that. 866 is radical 3 over 2, and I notice it's negative because I'm in the third quadrant, so I'm looking for negative radical 3 over 2. All right, angles drawn. We know the cosine is x, is negative, and the sine is y, is positive. Where would I be? So if x is negative, I gotta go left. And if sine is positive, I gotta go up. Where does that force me to go? Into this quadrant, which is quadrant 2. Another very easy question. All right. Negative 512. We're not on the unit circle. See that? That's the radius. If you took the square root of that, it's 13. So I got a bigger circle, not the unit circle, but all circles are similar. So I got to go back 5 units, back 5, up 13, up 13, sorry, up 12. So I'm in quadrant 2, and I know that this hypotenuse, that's what this is, the Pythagorean theorem, is going to give me 13. 13 squared is 169. So there's my triangle. Negative 5, 12, and 13. All right, your angle's always in the center. It says, what would be the cosine? The cosine. I'm going back to what you learned last year about cosine. Cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. That definition's not going away. So cosine is the adjacent over hypotenuse. So in this picture, there's my angle. Adjacent side, negative 5. Hypotenuse is 13. So cosine is negative 5/13. Choice 3. All right, number 8. That's another Greek symbol. Sorry, the choices are on my next page. Messed up there a little bit. It's multiple choice. G of alpha. You probably go, what is that? Well, alpha is 330. What is G of 330 degrees? It would be 4. The cosine of 330 minus 2. The sine of 330 degrees. I'm going to use my calculator now. And I need some paper here, as you can see. Move this up a little. All right, what is the cosine? 330 degrees. The cosine. 330 degrees. There's that 0.866 again, which I know is radical 3 over 2. It was positive, by the way. What is the sine of 330? Hey, the sine of 330 is negative 0.5, better known as negative a half. 2 times negative a half. 2 goes into 4 twice. So I end up with 2 radical 3 minus, these 2's cancel. Negative and negative give me positive 1. So I'm looking for this answer, which is choice 3. Number 9. Another one that's really easy, but you notice these are all radians. Radians. Option 1, I could change them all to the degrees. That would take some time. Or option 2, here's the one rare time I might say, you know what, maybe I'll just put my calculator in radian mode. So now if I say, hey, I'll try choice 2 here. What's the cosine of pi divided by 4? It's going to say, hey, there's that 707, which I better know is radical 2 over 2. Well, that's not a rational number, that's an irrational number. So you go through and you check all these. I know the answer is this one right here. The sine of pi divided by 6. That comes out to be a terminating decimal number, rational. It's a half. There's the rational answer. Okay. Now, if you do switch into radian mode, I highly recommend you get back into degree mode because most of the stuff we do is in degrees. All right, the toughest question, number 10. An angle is drawn in a unit circle. There's my unit circle. It's in the fourth quadrant. All right, so this angle is somewhere down here in quadrant 4. I'm going to draw a triangle. Always go back to the x-axis. Don't go to the y-axis. There's my right triangle. It is known that the cosine is 12/13. Don't forget, this is adjacent, and this is the hypotenuse. So I know the adjacent side, angle's always in the middle. The adjacent side is 12, that makes sense, I went over 12, and the hypotenuse on this circle is 13, not 1, 13, not the unit circle. Find this other side. Well, first of all, whatever this is, it's going to be a negative number. Okay, how do I find this side? I'll call it y, because it's the height. So 12 squared plus y squared is equal to 13 squared. Learned that last year. 144 plus y squared equals, that's 169, take away 144, you get 25, and when you take the square root, you actually get two answers, plus or minus 5, but I know this one is minus 5, that's key, because I'm in this fourth quadrant, I'm going down 5 places. All right, what is the sine? What is the sine of this angle? Well, sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Well, I just found the opposite side was -5, and the hypotenuse is still 13. All right, I hope this was somewhat useful. We're going to have a CASL learning assignment coming up soon. Keep checking our Google Classroom to see what's going on.